Are you feeling overwhelmed with all the stuff in your house? Are you feeling stressed out with all these things and your clutter in your life? Well, this is the episode for you. This is Outside the Box, the podcast devoted to supporting Central PA's small business. I am your host, Derek Bixler, realtor and digital marketer right here in Central PA. I grew up on the hill in Harrisburg, graduated from Mechanicsburg High School, went to Penn College of Technology up in Williamsport, and I've been here ever since. Right now, I've been a realtor for 15 years. If you need to buy or sell a house, we are in desperate need of houses for sale. Prices are sky high. So if ever you needed to sell, especially if you need to sell and not buy, or you're moving or have to sell, this is a fantastic time to do it. Text me, email me, throw a rock through my window, carrier pigeon, however you want to reach out, just reach out. We need houses. Subscribe to our email list at supportcentralpa.com to get networking mixer updates and invites. Those are usually full, so you got to get those announcements and sign up early. Episode announcements and exclusive special offers. If you have a question, you can put them in the comments, and please also comment if you know Laura. I see 6 people watching right now. If you know Laura, comment and say hi, or just tell us where you're watching from, where you're watching on too. You could tell us that too. Are you watching on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever, and we might be able to see and where you're watching from. A reminder that all the replays are on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, iTunes, and all the podcast players soon. As soon as I set that up, there's a lot going on, so I'll get to that when I can. Follow me at Agent Derek on Clubhouse. We are on Clubhouse Thursdays 1 to 2 called Central PA Small Business Connect, and we do have a club there now, and it's a great place to talk to other business owners, share what you do, and exchange business. And now we'll get into the episode with one of my favorite people who I actually know, and we're in a networking group together, and we actually have a networking group meeting after this. Laura Souders with Healthier Spaces Organizing, and I actually had to amend your description this morning, which is fine, and I've made a note to not to mention things in a certain way now. So I'll stop gabbing and let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself personally before we get into what you do. So where you grew up, maybe what your parents were like, your favorite food. I put that in the description. Tell us about yourself first.
Hi, Derek. Thanks for having me. I'm Laura Souders, professional organizer with Healthier Spaces Organizing. And I grew up in Middletown, Pennsylvania, so right here in Central PA, and went to Middletown High School. And then I continued on to Shippensburg University, where I had got a degree in elementary education. I spent 18 years as an elementary teacher in the Lower Dolphin School District, so right here in this area. And I decided about 8 years ago to start my own business. And I started Healthier Spaces Organizing, and I help residential clients as well as business clients to make their spaces more attractive, functional, and efficient.
So elementary school teacher, you probably did a ton of organizing. Is that where it all came from, or what sparked it? Were you an organizer before you were even a teacher? Tell me a little bit about that.
I was totally an organizer before I was a teacher. I loved organizing, even as a kid. Some of my friends, I would tell them I would help them organize their rooms or clean up their rooms. I was always reorganizing my space at home. I wanted to put a line between my sister's bed and mine when we shared a room, a line right down the room so that we could differentiate whose space was whose. So that was in me the whole time. But you're right, when I taught mostly kindergarten and first grade, I did a lot with organizing them, organizing their desks, their lockers, how we did things, structuring them. So I concentrated on that a lot with working with them, and also the room. Setting up the room so that the flow of the room was good, so that it really worked for our day, to make things really efficient and functional for our day.
So were your parents organizers too? I know sometimes the parents are anal and then the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So were your parents, or one of them kind of that way, and you got it from them?
So what I got from my parents was the education gene. So my dad was my high school principal, and my mom was a kindergarten teacher in the district. So they were both educators. I would say I probably cut my teeth a little bit on organizing at home with them. So I was the organizer in the family. So I really enjoyed doing it. That would be something I'd like to do. I do for fun. When I'm bored or I want something to do, I'm like, let's organize this space. Let's reorganize. So I definitely didn't get that at home. I was just kind of born with it, I think.
So what age exactly? Elementary school, what age would that have been? Was it first grade, second, what?
I taught
like 7-year-olds?
kindergarten. Yeah, well, so I taught a variety of grades. I was eligible to teach up to 8th grade. One year I taught 7th and 8th graders. And but mostly I taught kindergarten first. I taught second for 2 years and third for a couple years.
Wow. So
So
I
a
have,
lot of ages.
yeah, I have some myself, and organizing, just when you let them go in a room full of toys, an hour later, there's a lot of organizing too. So
Oh yeah.
how many students? 30, 20, 30?
What between 20 and 30. And I know when I had kindergarten, some of the parents would say to me, when I talked about the expectations of the kids, they would say, well, my kid's 5. They can't do that. They can't be expected to unpack their book bag, and they can't be expected to do this. And, this is a little bit too much. And I'd say, oh, I've been doing this for several years, and I have 20 some children in this room. They have to be able to do this stuff so that the room runs well. If not, we'll spend all day unpacking book bags. So I taught the kids how to do it, and once we got into a routine, it was really easy. And I would also kind of give them information about when you go home. So we had a folder that would make, and it would say, what's keeping it home and what's showing to mom and coming right back. So I'd say, when you go home, you walk in the door, open your thing, this stays. Mom, you need to sign this. I said, don't leave until mom signs it or dad signs it, because this has to come back. So then we went through all these routines, and I feel like that is really where a lot of the organizing with clients has started, because it is really about routines, setting up those routines. Because once you get into a routine, your brain doesn't have to work as hard. You just do it. So I've worked on setting up routines for people in systems so that they can really get into that and not use a lot of brain power, not use a lot of energy.
Yeah, as a parent, I can appreciate that. And we get, the book bag comes home, and teachers are always very good about, this is what needs to go, this is what needs to stay, please sign this thing. It's very kind of dummy proof, for lack of a better term, which is great. And we appreciate it, because I don't have all the time in the world, and it's hard to check and make sure she does everything that she's doing and does any homework that she does, and we turn things in. Or if it's crazy outfit day, I want to know that it's crazy outfit day so I can make sure she does it. So I see that, and herding kids to do things is probably harder than herding adults. So a good thing to practice with. What would you say the best hack was with kids? Was it mostly trying to get them to do certain things themselves so you didn't have to organize as much?
I think the best thing was really showing them just like those systems, and no matter where it was, if it was in their locker, giving something a home to say, this is where this belongs. And so I'd make all 20 some of the children, everybody had their folder on the left side of their desk, and they had their pencil on the right side. So they didn't have to look for it. They weren't digging in their desk or on their locker. We're going to hang our coat up on the left. We're going to hang our book bag on the right. Those kind of things. And then it was just, we don't spend time or waste time. So saying that everything has a home, where does this belong? Like, we're going to put it right back where it belongs, and this is where it belongs. So in the room too, I had everything labeled. So cleanup time, and when we had indoor recess, all those months where it snowed, or all the spring where it rained of just about every day, they would know exactly where things went. When it was time to clean up, this is where it goes, this is how it goes. And then I just kind of say, it's time to clean up, and it all just happens.
So everything's color coded and cutouts of the shape on the wall where the thing goes. You can easily see when something's missing. Actually, being a teacher, I never really thought about it before. Being a teacher is like an organizer's dream job, other than the pay, maybe. But other than that, it's fantastic. Yeah. So why did you stop teaching? What made you make the leap from teaching to being a self-employed entrepreneur?
I found I really loved the organization aspect of teaching. Teaching itself and working with the kids, I felt like I did a good job at it, and I helped the kids to learn and get to know what they needed to know. But I felt like there was more that I needed to do. I needed to work. I really enjoy working with people one-on-one. So I felt like some of my skills were not being used, because I felt like I really needed to use those organizational skills more to help people. I didn't realize as I was growing up that was different or unique, that I had those talents for organization. I didn't think it was anything special until I got a little older, and my friends would say, could you help me with this? I'd really like your, and I was like, oh, everybody knows how to do this. And they'd say, no, they don't know how to do this. You just do it, kind of naturally. So when I realized that it was really a sought after skill, I thought, I think I need to do this full time.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just that. It's just the push they need too. They need someone like you to come in maybe and just make them put the time aside and actually just do it. So what was the biggest challenge when you went out on your own? There are a million challenges,
Advertising.
obviously, with starting, but you have the
Yeah.
organizing down and you're good with systems. So I would imagine that putting kind of the systems together and the client communications and that stuff would be somewhat easy. Is that the case? And you started to say marketing, I think, was a
Yeah.
challenge.
The client communication was good. The networking was easy for me. You can see I'm passionate about what I do, so that was really easy to talk to people about. I started doing workshops and speaking engagements, so it wasn't hard for me to get up and say what I was doing. It wasn't hard for me to structure my day or to do any of those organization things. It was really the advertising and marketing, because as a teacher, I never had to advertise for students. They just showed up every day. So for me to go out, I really thought once I get a business card and I tell some people on Facebook that this is just going to go rapid fire and I don't have to do anything. It's just going to happen, that people are just going to hear about me and boom, it's done. And that's not how it goes at all. Even though people like you, they support you, they may not need your services and they may not know who needs your services. So you really have to do a lot of legwork, I learned, to get that word out. For the first 2 years, I'd say, when I would tell people at networking events what I do, that I was a professional organizer, they would all follow it up with, what do you organize? And they were more thinking I was an event organizer, an event planner. And I said, no, homes, businesses. And they were like, oh, how does that go? Do you go into people's homes and businesses? And I was like, yeah, how else would I do it? I have to get into their space and into their stuff. So it was really a teaching experience there.
Yeah, so we could go into, just tell us a little bit about what your business does and what you do, kind of like a high level overview, and then we can go into maybe some of the services and things.
Yeah, so my role, what I do is I really am all still bringing in the teaching with the organizing. So I'm helping people to assess their space, kind of create goals for what they want it to look like, their vision of the space, helping them to purge, get rid of what they don't want, and kind of assess what they want and what they need in their space with them. I'm going alongside them the whole time and with my process. I'm not like you might see sometimes on TV, some of the organizers look like they're trainers and they're saying, you know, get rid of that, you don't need it. I'm not forcing anyone to get rid of anything. I'm not judging anyone's space. I really don't know what they need in their space. Everyone's different. I don't know what's important and what's necessary to do your job or to go through your day. So there's a lot of back and forth and collaboration in my process of helping them to get to where their space is efficient for them and it's motivating and functional for them. So then we work with making things go to the right space. You know, you said you do your real estate and you talk about location. We talk about prime real estate. If you're at your desk, what's it within arm's reach? That is your prime real estate. So we shouldn't have little freebie things that you've gotten from a trade show sitting there, you know, that you're not going to use, that have just been dumped there. We're going to move those further away. Or
I don't even take that stuff anymore.
Perfect.
I don't need it. It's just trash. You're handing me, I'm going to leave with a bag of trash, and I'm a tree hugger also, so it drives me nuts. But
me too.
There are certain things I like, but those battery things, I like the people that give away the battery charger for the phone. I'll take those all day.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I have a little magnet that can go on your refrigerator or on your filing cabinets, and a little whiteboard to-do list and dry erase to-do list. And I'll say to people, you are welcome to take it, but if it's cluttered, please don't. Like, if it helps you to remember me and you need it for my number, or you want to write a to-do list, that's great. But I don't want you to take it and just throw it in a drawer. So just don't take it. It's fine. I'm not offended. But so then I help people to figure out how to contain these areas, make them stay, and make them be able to maintain the spaces, so that it's not like I'm not really like a house cleaner, you know, who comes in every so often and has to keep coming in. I feel like if you're organized and you've organized the space for that person, that really they should be able to maintain the space, and I don't have to keep coming in. And not only that, I'm teaching them about what to do when things change, and if they have more of something, how to adapt to it. So I'm really teaching them the process, and many of them will tell me that after we've done a room or a couple of rooms, they've gone on and done other rooms in their house, you know, with those skills. So I really want them to have the skills so they can move forward with it in other areas.
So one of the main things you start with clients a lot of times is just kind of the simplification and let's remove the clutter. Is that usually the first step after speaking with them and carefully deciding how you're gonna, I'm sure there's throwing away of things and purging that has to go on and feelings associated with that. But after you've discussed that, is the first thing just purging?
The very first thing is figuring out what their goal is. I really find people, that's the hardest thing, because at New Year's, everyone says, I want to lose weight, I want to exercise, and I want to get organized. Really, when we say stuff like, I want to lose weight, how much weight is that? Is it 2 pounds? If you lost 2 pounds, then you met your goal, or is it 20? And a lot of people will say that big number right away, where I want to organize my whole house. I'll hear that a lot when people call me. I want my whole house organized like next week. That can't happen. We have to set up some systems, and you have to really do a lot of thought with it. But the goal, we want to know what's the goal. And a lot of times people really don't even have a goal for their office. I just want it organized. But does that mean more functional? Does that mean more attractive for clients coming in? What's going to make it more organized? And in the past, I think sometimes when people organize a space, what they do is just shove everything behind closed doors, in the cabinets, in containers, so they can't see it. And that's not really organized. That's storage. That's storing things and putting them away. So I want it to be functional for them, so that, yeah.
Once it creeps out of the spaces you put it in, then it becomes to be horror. When the stuff doesn't fit into things, then it starts to become in my
maybe, yeah. Well, it's also when you put it in and pack it in there, it looks nice until you have to get something out and use it. And then it all falls apart. So people will say, I organize every weekend, and then during the week it's a mess. Well, then it hasn't really been organized. It's been put away, but it's not organized. If you organize and have it in a containment, in a system, then it won't happen every week that you have to do things. You'll know where things go, and everyone else will know where things go, and they can get put away easily. So yeah, the first step is just the goal. Figuring out what do you want, how do you want to feel when you come in this room? Sometimes it's a storage space we start with. So it's actually defining, what is this room going to be? Do you want to change it into a sewing room, or do you want to make a reading area or a playroom for kids? Like, this doesn't have to be storage anymore. Or because this is a garage or a closet or an attic, it doesn't have to be storage. It can be something totally different. And now with the virus and kids homeschooling and virtual schooling, really, or adults being at home and having to do work from home so they can watch the kids, or they can't go into the office, we need to think about how we're configuring these spaces and defining them and naming them. And do we really want to take up so much room with just storage and not be able to have actual functional space?
Yeah, and getting more out of the space, you could use it more if your desk is. So what's the percentage maybe of people that are redefining a space versus this is already an office, I just need to see my desk and be able to work here and not be stressed out with all this crap around me?
I'd say the majority are still just organizing the space they have. They already had a desk and they already worked from home, but there are clients who now are contacting me saying, I don't know how this is going to work. I have all these kids. I can't really be everywhere at once, and I still have to continue to work. So they've come to me because it's a problem, but in the process, sometimes we redefine how the space is going to be. You know, that maybe we're going to convert your dining room into a space for the kids, but we want it to be able to be quickly converted back into a dining room tonight for dinner without piles of things. So I show them how to make it go easily back to, you know, what they need it to be and how the kids can set up without them. So I'm kind of training the kids and redefining the space too.
And that's probably good with kids because their parents tell them to do something, it goes right through them. But if somebody else who's not their parents comes in and kind of explains something and teaches something, especially if they're a teacher and know how to teach kids, then maybe they take it to heart a little bit more. Or if they know maybe you're coming back and you're going to check on them, that would, I don't know if you do that, but that would probably work if they knew you were going to come back and check if they were doing what they were supposed to do, what Miss Laura said they were supposed to do. That would probably work.
Yeah, what I find really, I work best with kids just by themselves. The parents will sometimes, I'll say, you can sit out of the door and listen and hear what I'm saying, but it works better one-on-one because they don't know me. And it works that way with the kids and also with relatives, any family members, husband, wife, mother, daughter, even, you know, adult daughter and her mother. And because there's past baggage with whatever that relationship is. Sometimes the mom has been saying, you need to clean up this room, you know, of course, telling the child to clean up all the time. And so the child is kind of fighting against that, you know, and with me, there's no past baggage. I say, what kind of room do you want? Well, if you want this room with a desk in it and you want like a big kid room, then we got to get rid of these 500 stuffed animals you have, right? Isn't that, I mean, where else is your desk going to go? And then they're like, well, yeah, I'll get rid of them. I don't even like them. And what I find is when they start getting rid of them, sometimes I'm putting them out in the hall and the parents are going, they're getting rid of this? This was from grandma. Like, I don't, so sometimes the kids want to get rid of more than the parent wants to get rid of. So there's an interesting kind of dynamic there. But I find that husbands and wives, I separate, you know, parents and children, adult parents and adult children, you know, because it's just easier, because I don't have an agenda. I just want to make the space what they want to have. So I don't care if, really, I don't care if my clients keep everything they have, as long as they use it. As long as they're really deciding it's going to stay in there and not just allowing something that's come in there, like we said, from a health fair or something to live there. If they're not going to use it, then let's move it. Let's get it out.
Yeah. Don't take it in the first place, maybe. So after you define the goal and what they want to do, what comes next after that?
Then it's the purging. So we have the goal and we say, this is what we need to do.
I love purging. I love simplicity. I would live in a tiny house if I could, or I will, or whatever. Like I love it. I wear pretty much the same thing every day, a uniform. So I'm all about everything you're preaching. So the purging, how do you go about that? Especially when people are attached to stuff.
Well, you know, people say that they're attached to their stuff, and I don't find that to be the case as much as they say it. I really don't see that they're that attached to their stuff. They really get used to being in their space, and that's their stuff. So they're used to seeing it. So when I come in, I have a different set of eyes, and I say, we're going to analyze everything. I'm not looking at things that I say this should go, or just choosing things that I say, I don't like this style. I'm saying, look at all the pictures on the wall. Look at all of this. Does this need to be in here? If you're creating this kind of a space, does this go with it? Is this supposed to be in this room? So it's first deciding, do you even want it at all? Do you want it? And if you want it, then how important is it? So we have to decide, is it important that, okay, you want it, but is it important to be in this room, or can it be in a different room? If it's a keep memory and you have a really small office and small storage in your office, do we need to have all of those memories in here, or can we store them somewhere else and give you more office space, more space to do what you want to do? And like you said about the purging, I think people just get overwhelmed with the idea of purging more than actually that they're sentimental about things. And when we talk about sentimental, you know, when some people are saying I'm sentimental about this, this has a memory attached to it. I also provide them with ideas of how to either display that item or to save it and preserve it, because usually if they have sentimental items, they're really not being preserved well, and they're not going to endure time. And I try to talk to them too about things like that we're saving in the attic, or we're saving in the basement or the garage. And we say this is really sentimental because this is someone's, yet it's under a ton of boxes and not being used or shown. That maybe it's not the item, like the teacup or the teapot that was grandma's. Maybe it's really not the item that's important, but the memory. So how we can preserve that memory without keeping the things. Because a lot of those boxes that come from grandma's house, really, when we end up emptying them, they are a bunch of junk drawers that nobody knew what to do with at the end. All those pens and
sugar packets and
there are a lot of things that nobody really wants. But it was just the idea of going through grandma's stuff that is overwhelming. So it's more of the feelings of going through the stuff than the actual stuff that has the attachment for us.
Yeah, just taking the time to get out the trash bags and put the stuff in the bins and take it out to the trash. Some people just don't. We all procrastinate things, and we know we need to do it, and we just don't do it until we take the initiative or have somebody else come in and say, yeah, you should really do this, and give you a little bit of a push. So should people what do you recommend as far as purging? Should you make the piles kind of like you see on TV? This is the trash. This is the I'm not sure about. This is what kind of piles, and how should you go about that?
Yeah, the purging part is a big part of my teaching, because I teach people how to decide what they're keeping and why they're keeping it. Because a lot of people will say, I'll hear them say they're going to keep something. And I'll say, okay, where does that go? And I'm not questioning. I'm just wondering where they're envisioning it. And then they'll kind of say, well, I have to keep it. Why do you have to keep it? And a lot of people keep things out of guilt. So we try to get to the root of why are they keeping this? Why do they feel they have to keep it? You don't have to keep anything, maybe your laptop and, the stuff you need to work on, but there's not a lot you have to keep. So when they say things like that, or they feel overwhelmed, like, gosh, there's just too much stuff, but I don't know how to get rid of it, they're feeling somehow that maybe because they bought something and they spent money on it, that they have to keep it because it was a gift, they have to keep it because it was someone else's, they know they have to keep it. So I try to help them. That's a big teaching process about letting go and what is it that we want to keep. Because really, if we keep everything people gave to us, we can't really treasure anything. We can't find it. We can't preserve it. We can't keep it nicely. We can't display it. So we have to simplify so that we can really give the things that are important the room and the space that they need to be appreciated and used. So I help them
go ahead.
Donate, like you said, donate, recycle, kind of explain different selling options for them if they, would like to recoup some of the money. I just help them to do anything that we can do to move stuff along that it's not going to mostly go to trash. Unless it's trash, we want to recycle anything we can. We want to donate anything we can. And there are so many organizations that need it and can use our things. So I try to connect them with all of those so it can benefit someone else. And that really helps people to let go the most, knowing someone else is going to benefit from it. Because if they've already spent money for it and they know it's a good item and someone can use it, just not them, they really get that warm sensation, of giving something to someone when they pass it along.
Yeah, and some of that stuff they spent money on might still be worth money. You could, like you say, you can donate stuff, you could sell, you could recycle stuff, you can have a yard sale, you can have an auction, kind of like an estate sale, let people just buy stuff. eBay. I mean, there's whole initiatives of people that make whole businesses out of just, I'll take your crap and I go sell it online. And maybe you got some good crap. Sometimes there are gems buried in there. Oh, here's a Babe Ruth card, like you said, that's in this drawer that's taking up space and in the way, but it's worth something, and it should be either be on display or you should get some money out of it. Do you help people consolidate sometimes? So I know people have tchotchkes, or like, I like elephants, and there's elephants all over the house everywhere, and every surface has an elephant on it, and every surface has to have something in the middle of it. If there's a speaker over there, it has to have something on it. If there's an end table, it has to have something on it and right in the center. So do you do like, say, okay, you can have your elephants. I know you love elephants, but let's put them somewhere in one place to display? Or do you help people do that as well?
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes people don't realize how much of something they've gotten. They've gotten elephants, like you said, or they like frogs, and now everybody's buying them frogs, and they really don't realize how many they have. And I help them downsize a lot when they're moving to get their space ready to be showing to potential buyers. But it really makes their space easier to clean if they don't have all those tchotchkes. And when they're saying this feels cluttered to me, they really don't know how to unclutter. They don't know what's making it feel so cluttered, making the space feel so tight. And I'll say having all of these different things on the speakers, having it all over everywhere, makes it feel cluttered. You don't have clear surfaces. So let's put all of those on one shelf or in one area so you can see it. And then we always get together all of the things that they have that are similar. Let's get together all of those elephants. Let's get together all of those magazines. Let's see what you have. And when we get them all together, they're super surprised at how many they actually have. And I'll say, can we weed out any of these? I know they were given to you, but can you just pick your favorites? And they'll say, well, yeah, actually, I don't even like this one, and this one was free, and, and whatever. So they can, when they see how many they have, then they can kind of let go, usually to, let someone else have it or, donate it, things like that. But really seeing how many they have and knowing that you said you want it decluttered. And one of the benefits of that is going to be easier to clean and easier to maintain. What are you willing to let go of to get that uncluttered feeling?
Yeah, it's a lot easier to dust if you have you set yourself up, you have one of those plain dusters, the easiest thing in the world to use, nothing on surfaces, and you just walk around. You don't have to move anything. You don't have to do anything. So that's great. When I'm staging houses, obviously I'm like, Uber, let's make it look like nobody lives here, which is how I actually like to live. But I said, just literally walk through. You can't see, but literally walk through and just everything off of everything. And then the end table can have like a lamp on it. Nothing,
So yeah.
nothing else. No candles, no elephants or anything. And actually, that I think the collection that they have can have more impact if they're all in one space instead of walking into some weird cluttered house that has these weird elephants everywhere. You walk into a nice house that's decorated well, and over here there's a focal point with a nice shelf with all of them arranged nicely, and then everybody looks at it and says, wow, that's cool, nice little elephant collection, and where'd you get this one, and where'd you get this one? Otherwise it's just kind of, this is weird. Yeah, your elephants are cool, but it's kind of, you're the cluttered lady. So that's great. So after the goal, then you purge, and then after the purge, what comes next?
We do conscious placement. So we're deciding these are the things you want and you're saying that need to be in this room. Where do they need to be in this room? How often do you use them? So if it's in the kitchen and you're talking about your turkey roaster, you may not use that but once a year around the holidays. So let's put it further away. It doesn't need to be right there within everyday stuff. It doesn't need to be in those cabinets it takes up a ton of space. So let's put it above the refrigerator in that cabinet that's hard to get to, or let's put it in the basement with some other serving pieces that are large. So where does this thing need to go to? And we're talking about then functional. How is it going to go? So that's in the home, and the same thing in the business. So if you're doing this kind of work and this is the process, we need to set up the space and position things so that whatever you need at hand is able to be quickly reached. I find a lot of times people put in drawers the things that fit in the drawers. They just stick them in the drawers because I have a drawer. I'm going to just put stuff in here. Well, do you need that stuff in there like right away every day? Or do you need the stuff on your desk that's on your desk? Well, then we clear it off. So it's not saying it has to leave, but maybe you don't need it right there. So we do the conscious placement, putting things where they need to be so that you can have that efficiency and functionality, so that you're not reaching behind the turkey roaster to get something you're using every day because that's the only cabinet the turkey roaster fits in. So we want it to be functional so it'll stay that way.
Yeah, and set yourself up for success, basically, so you can sustain this organization. It sounds like, I mean, organization really is not just, like you said, it's not cleaning, which is just putting things away and then things come back out and you have no system for keeping it that way. Organization is actually having a plan for sustainability, which will make you less stressed out in the end, for sure, when you don't have to worry about all these things in your life. So after the placement and setting yourself up for success and making it easy to sustain this, what comes next?
The last step that I do is maintenance. So we want it to stay this way. So this is the step where we have to label things. So if a family is using something, they need to know what's going into that space. Is that where we put these snacks? Is that where we're going to find pencils? We need to label those drawers and things inside the drawers, maybe in containers. So we need to not call it the junk drawer anymore, because what do we find in the junk drawer? Who knows? It could be anything.
Stuff that should be in the trash by the name of it.
Yeah. Exactly. If it's junk, get rid of it. So if we call it the emergency drawer, then we know there's batteries in there. There's a flashlight. There's matches. Or if we call it the school supply drawer, or the letter writing, or bills and that kind of thing, then we know stationery. We know what to find there. We know that's where the stamps are going to be. That's where the scissors are going to be, the tape. So that's what we need to do so that we don't have duplicates of things and we can't find it. Because when we don't know and identify what the drawers are, then how do we find our stuff and how do we put it away? It just could go anywhere. So we want to maintain it with labeling, with naming those drawers, with naming those spaces, with actual labels sometimes when necessary. And we want to use containers when we need to have them. So containers for me don't always have lids on them. That's more of a storage that we're putting away. So I try to use the ones that are going to make your space stay functional. Like you would in an office, if you had a lot of papers to file, instead of throwing them in a big stack that's going to fall and be all sloppy, and we could put it in a basket, a paper basket, a wire basket, and that's an area. And then we know what's in there. It's not like I have to go through these papers again. So it's just making separate areas for our things and making sure that it's going to be able to easily go back to where it is, where we came from.
What's your favorite container for, let's say, for basement storage? Would you just go with a typical plastic bin with a pop on top?
I'll tell you what I love. Sometimes people say, I like in a space that you're going to be using all the time, I always want clear containers. But in a place like a basement where it's storage, and sometimes you do need storage. I'm not saying you can't have anything storage, especially if you're children, like you have children growing out of sizes, you may be saving a size for another child. So you're trying to keep all those clothes together. My favorite thing is not necessarily the container. It's a clear pocket that you can put on the container. You affix it to the container and you put a little note card in it that says what's inside. So instead of writing on those containers and crossing out, this is size 6 to 7, now it's size 8 to 9, and doing it that way, you're saying what's in there. And also you can put pictures in there. So you could put pictures of what the contents are. So if this is like Lego blocks or Duplo blocks, the big ones, and you won't need them till, you have your next child, you can see what's in there very quickly without going, what is in here? There's all sorts of things in here. We just want one thing in each of them. So it's containers, not necessarily huge, because then you can't get things out of them and can't move them. So they're easily stackable and have a label on them. That's my favorite.
I love containers, and I like the clear ones because you can see what's in them. But I love the idea of having something where you can change it so it doesn't say, like you said, Piper's clothes, yard equipment. Like 4 years later, that's kind of cool. So, so the maintenance part of it, that's the last step of it. How do you get your clients to keep it up? Do you check in with them? Is it a one-time thing? How does it go after you kind of go through all the steps? Do you do everything with them actually?
I do all the steps that they need me to do with them. So I try to go through all of the steps so that they can see what the system is and teach them the system. And some people are, once we set up a system, they have a hard time setting up the system, but can maintain it very well once it's in place. But also, some people can kind of go running once they get past that hurdle of, I don't know how to purge. I don't know what should go to make the space I'm trying to make, or I don't know how to set up some of this. Once we get going, someone will say, I can take it from here. I get, now I'm past the trouble spot. I can continue. So I try to give people homework after we've worked together when I can see, you know what, you're really good at sorting this, or you're really good at getting rid of paperwork that's old. You don't struggle with paperwork, or you're good at getting rid of sizes that no longer fit you, and you're not struggling with clothing. So why don't you do this until I come back next time, or do this and then call me if you have a problem and I can come back and help.
Yeah, I'm
because
sure
different spaces are different too. Some people have a hard time with clothing. Some have a hard time with paperwork. Some people have a hard time with, like you said, more sentimental items like photos or family history that they say, I just don't know what to do with it. It's here. How do I organize it? So they may not be purging much, but they need to understand how it can be organized and found.
Yeah, and each person is different. I'm sure the people that get it and are really motivated need less accountability later on to make sure they did it, and somebody's going to check on you and make sure you're maintaining it and everything. So here's a question. What's your favorite room to organize? So every room is different and there are different challenges to each. What would be your personal favorite to organize? Clothing, a closet, office?
I love doing pantries. I love doing food and pantries, and kitchens are so much fun. But I mean, clothing and closets are a close second. I can truly say that there is no room that I go into and I go, oh, I hate organizing this. There is not one. So, I mean,
is it the worse the better for you? The worse it looks when you walk in, the more excited you get? To a point.
Sometimes it's more about, I feel like, how life-changing it's going to be for people too, because sometimes it may not be it may not look disorganized, but it is not functioning for them at all. It may look super neat, but it's not really what they need at their fingertips. And when we start working with that and moving things around, and I'm like, making things I can see more efficient for them, that's really when I get excited, when I know they're going to see change on a day-to-day basis of how they're using their items and finding them. And I'm just so excited with that.
Yeah. And everybody knows that feeling of when your car gets out of control. And then you say, all right, I got to clean my car out. I got to wash it. And you do all that and it's all spick and span and nice. And you're ready. Anybody can come ride with me today. It's all nice. Any other time you're like, hey, you don't need to ride with me. But you're all ready and nice and feeling like $1,000,000. And the same thing is going to happen with your house or office or anything else. When you clean it, it feels so good. And everybody knows that feeling when you put cleaning off or decluttering and then you do it. And it's just this huge feeling of relief and the overwhelm is gone. So it feels great. Do you deal with the psychological aspects of it? I mean, obviously you're dealing with people having to make commitments maybe to things they don't necessarily want to do or have been putting off doing. Do you end up being that kind of therapist or how far do you take it with that? Do you ever refer people to therapists?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes therapists refer them to me because I'm the boots on the ground and helping with something that they're overwhelmed. I find, a lot of people need help at transitions in their lives. So it's when they get married or they have a baby. So when they get married, if it's a second marriage for one of them or both of them, they're combining two households. So they may have had their household organized really well when they had their own place or they had a different house, but now we have two toasters. And how do we decide whose toaster stays and whose doesn't? How do we decide who gets what closets and how much we need of everything and how to just divide it? When children, come into the world, they have tons of stuff, the strollers and all of that stuff. And how do I organize all of this now? So them coming into your lives and them leaving too when they're going to college and now I have their stuff, or hey, they're now coming home because of the coronavirus, so they have to school here. Those kind of things are all transitions, job changes, moving your house, downsizing. Now you might have a parent move in with you. So all of those transitions, all of those things come with so many different changes, and a lot of them have to be organizational. You have to actually move spaces and move rooms. So I find people need help at those times. And that's also a time in their life that may be overwhelming for them. So the stuff is overwhelming. That's the outside kind of manifestation of what's going on inside. So sometimes they do need to talk to someone. Sometimes couples will bring me in and they'll say, I want you to work with my husband or my wife or something because they need to get rid of all of this. And I'll say, I don't take sides and I'm not going to make them get rid of stuff, but I'll help them organize their space alone, independently of you. And then when we start looking at some of their space, they'll say, well, that person, my spouse, put all this stuff in here. And it turns out to be the other person's issue, So I do end up saying sometimes time out, like we can't blame. And we're just trying to find a good room for both and trying to coordinate that. But I do find it changes people's outlook on things. When getting rid of that physical clutter, really, like I said, sometimes I see how life-changing it can be that they'll say little things that they're getting rid of, they've now uncovered, they say something that they used to be really excited about. They might find something, they'll go, I used to paint a lot. I don't even paint anymore. My paints are like, I don't even know where they are in this house once we moved 10 years ago. I want to start painting again. Or I want to go back to school. Or I want to quit my job. Or there's life-changing things that happen from getting rid of the physical clutter, which starts eliminating some of the mental baggage we have or the emotional baggage we have about things. I find it gives people closure with family members that have passed away because they've had a pile of 20 some boxes that have been from their parents' house when they died 20 years ago, and that's hanging over their head and kind of limiting them. So we get rid of those and start to do things with them, and they feel so much lighter. They can really, like you said, they can take on the world with that clean car, that clean house feeling.
Yeah, totally. You feel like $1,000,000. So let's go over before we go out, your services, run down what you actually, is it all one service? I come in and do this one thing, or do you have kind of different things you can do for different people?
I have several different services. I do decluttering and downsizing, just regular organizing. So we're not trying to get into a smaller space or get rid of a whole lot. We're organizing most of it, although we always do kind of look at what to purge. I work for realtors and people who are moving. I do packing and unpacking. I do a space planning, a 3D space planning program where I measure your furniture and use your blueprints, and I create the rooms for you so that you can decide what's going to fit in that new space and what do I need to get rid of before I leave. So we can set that all up for you. I do hoarding cleanouts and estate cleanouts. So I will, if that house needs to be put on the market really quick, I help you to get it on really quick, get it staged or get it cleared out, whatever we need to do so that it can get moved along quickly.
Do you partner with like junk haulers or anybody?
I try to, as much as possible, donate everything. So I partner with so many donation places that for
Name
all
a few.
different things. Blue Mountain Ministries is one. Habitat for Humanity Restore. Now some of these places don't come to you. Some of them do. Recycled Bicycle in Harrisburg. So I donate bicycles there. There's Recreate stores for artistic things like yarn and paints and brushes, and so sewing materials that we can donate there. So any that I can donate to, and I always find people have unique things. I have somebody who's just downsizing now and has a ton of fishing stuff, and we found a Hunters and Anglers Association that wanted to take some of that stuff. So there's always places that we can, even ones that aren't necessarily considered donation places, that people could donate to.
Yeah, and consignment shops and, like I said, eBay and just selling it. And there's always ways to recycle or reuse things, like you said. There's a military one where I think there's a veteran-based one, I think, and they like come get the stuff. I remember somebody mentioning it and saying it was the best. They came and took the couches. It was like 10 military guys and gals that just came in and took everything. So I probably need to find that out. But that's good resources to let everybody know, because I deal with that too, obviously, as a realtor. What do I do with this stuff? Or some of this stuff is worth money. I have all these antiques that are actually worth money, but I can't haul it out. I don't know what to do with it. My favorite thing is the consignment shop, Red Door on Paxton. Is that what one place is called?
Yeah, Red Door.
Yeah. And other places, and obviously Goodwill and Salvation Army. Those are always good places to donate stuff. Or if you have kids, have a yard sale to teach them about business. That's, even if you have worthless junk, put it out and let them learn a little something. So let's talk about,
to take it all and donate it afterwards with the yard sale.
Anything that doesn't sell goes in a trash can.
Yep.
Totally. So tell everybody about your book. You got a new book coming out, and I know you have it there to hold it up a little bit. So show everybody the book and tell them what it's about and where they can find it.
Yeah, so my book is a little over 2 years old. I published it on Amazon. It's called Organizing Her Life: How My Journey Can Help You Declutter Your Spaces and Your Life. And I say it's the organizing book for people who don't necessarily love organizing, because it's a story of transformation, how I've decluttered my idea and some of my mental hangups about changing my job, switching and finding a career I love. And in the process, we actually bought a hoarded house and made it our own house. So it's the whole story of that transformation, with tips for the reader and questions for the reader to kind of make them think and analyze their space, and give them little bits of things that they can do to start to motivate them to organize their space and kind of think about things differently.
That's great. So where can people pick it up? On Amazon?
Amazon, yep. It's been on Amazon, I said, a little over 2 years, and it's been an Amazon #1 bestseller. And it's actually been in the top 20 in its category for over 2 years.
That's sweet. We got a lot of authors in our networking group, huh? You, Adam, I think Tom, isn't he writing one? Somebody else? That's cool. I feel like I need to write a book.
Yeah, we've actually all been with the same book doula, Tessa Schaefer.
That's awesome. Who's that? Who is it?
Tessa Schaefer. She's in our area. She's in Central Pennsylvania. She's your book doula.
Awesome. Look her up, everybody. If you need to write a book, she's right here, and she's done a few of them. And hit up Laura if you need to know how the experience was. So let's, we ended out all the time with a random question that has nothing to do with your organizing or anything. Oh, no, actually, we have to plug your appearances, because I said you're as seen on TV and everything. So tell us where we can find you on TV. Obviously, we can talk about Good Day PA, and then the other things, say whatever you can say.
Right. So I'm on Good Day PA once a month. I've been doing that for over 2 years. I have a segment called Get It Together, and my next one will be March 24th. It's always on between 10 and 11 a.m. on ABC 27. And like I said, I do them monthly, so I will put them on Facebook. I'll put them on Instagram, and you can also go on my website and see what some upcoming ones are. This one, I'm going to be talking about organizing snack foods, keeping those snack foods wrangled in your pantry or in your cabinet. So that'll be, that's one thing I'm working on now and getting ready for this month. I'm also going to be on a national organizing show. I'll have it this fall or this spring. It's going to be, the episodes will start airing. So I'll be able to share more about that in the upcoming weeks. I'm not able to promote anything at this time, but in a few weeks, I'll be definitely sharing something with that. And I was also, last spring, I was a featured expert on Better Homes and Garden Secrets of Getting Organized in their section, their magazine. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm super jealous, obviously. I love all this stuff. So I love hearing about your experiences with all that. And I can't wait to hear more about it after it comes out and you can talk about it more.
Thank you.
So we'll do our random question. And I just Google funny questions. And the one I clicked on has 81 questions. So you pick a number between 1 and 75. And then I will read 3 of them and you can answer whichever one you want to, or all of them or none of them.
Okay.
So pick a
31.
number between 31.
31.
Okay. All right. What Disney princess would make the best spy? Huh. What superhero villain would make the best therapist? What fictional character do you think you are most like? Okay, I'll read them because I wrote them terribly. I read them terribly. What Disney princess would make the best spy? What superhero or villain would make the best therapist? Or what fictional character do you think you are most like?
Okay. I think I'm going to do the Disney princesses. I think Sleeping Beauty would make a great spy because she could pretend like she was sleeping for a long time and no one would know, and she could hear everything that was going on. She could just leave. So I think that'd make a great spy.
Totally. And I think she had black hair, I think, too. So that goes in with the whole black outfit and sneaking around and trying to be a spy or something too. All right. So let's tell everybody where they can find you. I put it up on the screen there, but read it out for everybody that might be listening later on an audio platform.
healthierspaces.com. You can find me. That's my website. You can find me on Instagram at Healthier Spaces and Facebook, Healthier Spaces Organizing. You can find me at all those places and find more tips and the past segments I've done through For Good Day PA and some more information that you could use about organizing.
Yeah, and all the links are in the description, wherever that is, up or down. And the book, like Laura said, you can go to her website and you can find a link to get to the book there. Best selling. I didn't know that. I should have put that in the description. You probably told me and I forgot it.
Right.
So a couple of announcements before we go out. If you're interested in a business spotlight package, which includes Greg coming to your business, showing behind the scenes, kind of like you saw him at the Ninja Warrior place, trying the warped wall, that kind of thing. And then an episode here with me, like you're seeing with Laura right now, and then a networking mixer also at your business, COVID and your business permitting, obviously. And we are booked out for a proper business spotlight for all 3 of those till like August or so. But if you'd like to do an episode with just me, feel free to hit me up. Special offers, join our email list to get access to all of those. It's 1 email a week. That's me actually drafting it. So it's not some automated thing. Sometimes it's late, but you can get over it. It always goes out every week. Even if it's 5 days late, I'm still going to send it out before the next one. If you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube or any other place other than Facebook, please head over to Facebook and join our Facebook group. Central PA supports small business. Tons of engagement in there. The episodes airing in there. Business exchanged in there. It's a great place to go and ask, I need a handyman to fix this thing. You'll get 20 awesome suggestions and vetted, and it's coming from actual people in Central PA that are telling you that they use this person and they're good. So it's not just going to Craigslist. I got a client right now actually that they need a handyman. It's a new listing, and I keep hitting that like, let me know, I can give you a reason. No, we put it on Craigslist, and I'm thinking, what is this, 1990? I don't like. There are so many better resources, or TaskRabbit or whatever. So I'm going to let it go and let them get a guy, and we'll see how it turns out. And then I'll go to our group and ask and get somebody awesome. So anyway, that's my plug on the group. If you're on Clubhouse, please follow me. I'm at Agent Derek on Clubhouse, and every Thursday after the episode at 1 to 2 o'clock, we are on there talking. Contact me if you are buying or selling a home. Like I said, prices are sky high, and if you need to sell a home, this is a great time to do it. Text me, email me, throw a rock through a window, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do. Remember to support Central PA small business like Laura and Healthier Spaces Organizing. And thanks for watching and listening, and say goodbye, Laura.
Goodbye.
See you, everybody.